respond to calls, what type of calls, how we will handle calls, things like that. Those will not come to this committee. They are not public record, they're information that is privy to this. If you ever want to know what one of those says, I'll be certainly happy to sit down and discuss it with you, but I'm not gonna advertise how we respond to bank calls, or bomb threats, or anything along those lines, so. But this one is really for you guys. This policy, chapter 2, is all about conduct and what the officers are expected to do. So I just want to throw that on there. Any other questions about the policies as written?
I don't. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 6, recommendation for Nicole Jones to attend interview and interrogation training in Aberdeen, South Dakota from June 13th through June 17th. Lodging will be provided and meals will be reimbursed by the IPTM training. Nicole will take a city vehicle, so fuel is only cost at this time. I have a motion and a second.
Motion Hager.
Second, Wagner.
The way we structure the police department where officers handle their own calls, typically this would be a detective type class, but where our officers handle all of their own calls. If they get a burglary or whatever it is and they have to interview a suspect, each officer is expected to be able to handle themselves in the interview room. And this is one of the trainings that I require from all of my officers after completion of the academy is an interview interrogation. And this is the closest one, the only one slated for the near future in South Dakota. Completed the academy back in February, so it's time for them to get this class. And it's free.
Yeah, exactly. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 7, recommendation for Jeremy Beater to attend DRE school in Oklahoma, South Dakota from July 11th through July 22nd. Lodging provided and meals will be reimbursed by the law enforcement training. Jeremy will take a city vehicle, so fuel is only cost at this time. Motion.
Motion, Wagner.
Second Hager.
DRE stands for Drug Recognition Expert. These people are, there's a couple of thousand of them in the country. I was one, I let my certification lapse. This is the person that can look at somebody and say, this is the drug that you're under the influence of. It's a very impressive class, it's a very sought after class. He does the 2 weeks of training. It's known as the toughest class a law enforcement officer can take. I didn't think it was that hard personally, but everybody in my class passed when I went.
Why did you let your cert lapse?
It's so time consuming. When I became a lieutenant, I just couldn't keep up with it. It's a very, you have to maintain a curriculum vitae, a rolling log, all sorts of reports to the federal government, state government, on top of research every 2 years. It's, you have to stay involved and stay study up because the stuff changes all the time as new drugs come out, so I just didn't have the time. And then I also got tired of getting called out at 3 o'clock in the morning to come do evaluations.
How many of your officers are you, or do you have other officers that have this training? He's number
We do
one?
not have one in the Bellfouche Police Department right now. We have 2 here in Bellfouche, or 3 here in Bellfouche, and they're all free troopers.
Okay.
So this will just add to that quadre that we have. South Dakota's been very active. The other part of this training, at some point, and I believe it's the first week in September, they will have to fly him out of state. I believe they said Phoenix is where they'll go to get their evaluations. You have to get so many evaluations before you become certified, and it's 8 or 12 evaluations, and they like to get them done really quickly. It would take us a year, so they fly them out, all highway safety grant money, fly them to Arizona, they do them in 2 or 3 days, and they come home and take their final exam.
Sounds intense.
It is very intense. They don't even let you come home over the weekend because they expect you to study.
Is he gonna be okay with that?
He's nervous. He's nervous about the difficulty of the class. Again, it's, if you pay attention, the instructor is incredible. He's out on a launch. I have as an instructor for part-time. There will be no issues with the passing the class. Chuck is as good as they come nationwide. He's nationally renowned. He's the top DRE in the country right now, so there won't be any problems. I have full faith in Jim.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 8, recommendation to send 2 officers to Community Leadership Institute in Columbus, Ohio on October 20th through the 23rd. Registration is $110 per officer. Lodging and airfare will be provided by the institute. Meals will be $129 per officer. I'm gonna motion to table this one indefinitely
Second.
due to the fact that I feel that it should have been presented to the committee before it became public knowledge.
Which one became public knowledge?
Apparently,
Oh, yesterday? Oh, she was just looking for people.
The only thing is, Scott, we were, in that orientation, we were educated, all new council people, I remember it all the time, to make sure, and she said, we are looking to send. And then nobody else knows what's going on, and we had a certain amount of that go on in the city for a period of time, to where people were making decisions or doing whatever, and then I even experienced it. The rest of us would have to follow, because it's like, oh gosh, you know, you didn't, number one, want anybody to think you didn't know, and number two, you didn't want to look like an naysayer. And so I'm hoping we can all get gathered with that stuff.
Okay.
And I don't take away from anybody that wants to do that, but you know, we're trying to be real tight here and get ourselves going in the, you know, in the forward motion with things. And he picked up on it right away. He sat beside me and he looked at me and he said, really? You know, and, oh. And then you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach like, oh no, I gotta go and everybody's gonna be looking at me, and if I vote nay because I just don't know anything about it and all of that stuff. Do you see where we're coming from?
I understand,
Yeah, and Dwight was very emphatic about that. Remember, Monty, when he said, don't speak for one another?
Mentioned it 2 or 3 times.
Yes, he did.
One thing that and she'll learn, I'm sure, as we go, you get used to saying things like, I'm only speaking for myself.
Mhm.
I'm not speaking for the rest of them, so if she would have offered that as a disclaimer first, but when you say something like that in public and you're representing the council, people take it as gold, they do. So that's where I'm coming from.
I
Things are done deals, you know, and so,
And I can certainly understand the public side of that, you know, all of these trainings that we've done already, they're applied for, they're, you know, there's a lengthy process to applying for them and that kind of stuff. So I apologize, she called and said, would you be interested in sending a couple officers, and I said, of course I would, and then I put it on my agenda, it wasn't,
Could I just ask though, what would be the benefit of, I'm just curious, sending 2 officers to a community leadership institute rather than like a law enforcement leadership seminar or something? What's the
I think-
benefit of that?
for me, it fits into the general philosophy of what we're trying to move toward as a police department, from my understanding, is being more involved in the community, that they would be a member of a team that would be out looking at programs and be front line, helping the community get better, whatever programs that is, whether it's the Paint Your Town or a community cleanup project or housing or whatever it is, you know, if there's, that they're front line, that they're having input into that. I thought 2 was excessive, I'd be happy to have 1 there, but they asked if I would send 2, and
well, and I also feel that if anybody should be going to something like this, it should probably be possibly the mayor and or a department head or something along that.
And when I talked to her, I said, have you even talked to the council people yet? And I said, well, you need to talk to council people and the mayor about sending people. I mean, I'm happy to have an officer on this team, or 2 if need be, but
But that would be.
we're a small piece of a
Right.
puzzle in a whole big scheme.
Right.
well, we're all a piece of the puzzle, not necessarily anything big and small and all of that. That gal who is actually the director of that had asked me, and I said, you know, Municipal League is in Rapid City in October. This is like 3 days or 4 days by the time you're 20 and 21, 22, you know, coming back and everything. And I told her that my hope was that we have as many council people and department heads and employees involved in going to that, because it's gonna be in Rapid City. And then all of a sudden, I guess I like to have my feet on the ground, and when I'm standing on one foot and I'm going, oh, how do I deal with this? I don't know if she offered this to other department heads or those kind of things, but, you know, it just, and they schooled, and I think about it every day. I never talk to people with I, even when they're talking exclusively to the mayor. I always refer, you know, with the council, with us being a team. And so I kind of was, oh my goodness, now we gotta run real fast and get caught up here, you know, so.
Yeah.
But,
So, all those in favor to table number 8 indefinitely?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 9, discussion about the Roosevelt School.
boy. They've been down there, the Roosevelt School.
Is that the old high school?
Yeah.
Um,
I
I thought Clint had something.
I had, was it his issue that?
Well,
he
I
was putting
thought
up?
you put it on there.
Scott had some
Oh,
stuff.
sorry.
I
Okay,
did not
sorry.
put it on
we,
there, but-
Katie and I discussed about putting it on there.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Really what we're looking for here is, Clint's been working with her a little bit. The male party is not allowed on that property at this point in time. So she is there by herself. I don't know that she has anybody else living there, or any assistance at all, and there's some rather big projects. And I would like to kind of start to examine using some different community organizations of some sort to go down and really help her start cleaning up. If we say contractors on that, we're gonna have thousands and thousands of dollars in expenses that we're not gonna see.
Well, and that's not the job of the city, actually. We need to stay kind of focused on what our function of this is and.
Well, I think Scott and I were talking about if there's, even a way that we could get revitalization involved and do a cleanup to help these property owners like this somehow.
I mean, there's cer-
Actually, the day of that cleanup down there, the one gal from right across the street from it spoke kind of right directly to that, didn't she, about something getting done down there?
Autumn Hart, yeah. Clint did catch me this morning and just kind of mentioned the revitalization, or revitalized Belfouche Committee. And whoever kind of come up with that, that's a great idea. I know we would be glad to use that committee as kind of that mechanism to facilitate another community cleanup. We'd have to really work closely with law enforcement and code, I'm sure, to make sure we're not, but we would be glad to approach it, you bet. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting tonight, I couldn't take any action, but I let Clint know that I could sure discuss it during informational, if that's kind of one of the directions you guys want to go with that.
Again, we can go do it, and we can follow by the book law and get it done for thousands of dollars that we're gonna pay. And who knows when we're gonna see it back again.
Well, and what is an abatement going to do for us where, things that go on taxes, we've already been through one of those within the city that ended up being thousands of dollars that went on taxes. Then it ended up on a sheriff's sale,
Well,
you know.
and like you was talking, it's an alternative, I think that's better to try it first before we've always got the legal part of it to fall back.
We do.
And James really plants some nice flowers when you get done.
Yeah, the non-flower ones.
Well, I just think that we need to help people.
And I think if the revitalization can step in, the police department can step in,
Yeah.
let's contact some different community organizations. I really like involving the youth organizations, whether it's
Yeah.
football, basketball. Those are the ones that are going around getting donations all the time. They can come help give back a little bit.
Soccer.
I would like to see a banner, I think we can get a little banner that just says, thank you revitalization committee, and just, some different organizations
Yep.
that help to give them a little publicity that they're giving back to the community. I think that we can make this a really positive project rather than having it be a general eyesore than it is right now.
And it's gonna
Yep.
be a huge project, this isn't
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be.
If you get 15, 20 people down there,
You'd be surprised though, how
how
fast it'll go.
how quickly we can get that
Can we-
really looking decent.
Can we get it like a heavy equipment in there somehow to get those, you know, she's got those huge
Yeah,
piles of
Can-
wood
can I-
that just,
I think we can probably,
Let me tell you how we kind of approached that art cleanup. There was a group that, well, it was really my wife and my son and I, we did it, but it doesn't matter who did it. But we went in there with some chainsaws and the equipment, as far as skid loaders and things like that, prior to the actual day, because we just didn't want equipment, things moving around with the public there, we thought it could be a danger thing, but we could sure approach it that way again, where we could say, this is kind of the day we're gonna do it, and then, you know, I borrowed some equipment from Scott Peterson, he's always willing to loan stuff out. I've got saws, and then like a group of us could go down the day before
yeah.
and hit that stuff, and then have kind of, the day after that's more of just kind of a, let's pick everything up, all the rubble, the debris, and Dirk brings his roll-offs and stuff down like that.
that's what I was gonna say, I don't know
And
if we need to go through Public Works and see if we can label a roll-off fee or two, or maybe we should.
What he-
after the
what he
pay
did
And
roll-off,
you know what a
with the,
roll-off fee is?
$15,
$20.
$20.
Well,
That's it.
he didn't charge us well, anyway, we're not getting into all that,
So-
but if the police committee would, I'm sure that the Revitalize Committee would love to kind of work with Clint and just, again, be the tool to kind of put that together, and I could find someone in the committee that'd love to call, maybe some groups or something. And I have to agree with Scott, and Clint agreed this morning about it, but, you know, about 20 people, honestly, on a job like that is really all you want, because you get much more than that, and you can't keep track of anybody, and people are coming and going, and it's a kind of a
Less
clustery
is more.
thing.
Mhm.
We could have the 100 group people some other time for just a park cleanup or something, but I'd sure run it by them tonight, I know they'd be glad to facilitate it, and we could just go forward from there if you guys want. What's your time frame, Clint, on that?
Well,
Before
definitely-
Independence Day,
Yeah,
or?
definitely
We
want
are
it done
going.
by then.
I think so, because that parade goes right by there, you know.
So,
I know.
We
it's-
won't
I
meet
know,
again,
I know
though,
it's
so-
on the other end.
But we
Okay,
still have people coming to town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be nice to at least get the front of it cleaned up.
Right.
do you know what her plans are for operating? Is she gonna try and have a campground, or is?
I don't think she even knows.
She's gonna be out of money this month. So the campground fund will be empty by the end of the month, is what I have gotten from her.
So it's it's gonna be like, let's get this all cleaned up and then to where you're just down to mowing evidently.
Before she leaves, I'd like to get, there's 2 cars in a boat
I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask Clint
that
about.
need to be abated. That, you know, hopefully we can work with her and just have her sign over titles, and
Yeah.
they're junk vehicles, I mean, there's very little value to them, they're scrap metal. Get them to one of the tow companies that wants them, donate them to the fire department, whatever it may be. You know, if we get those things done, then yes, it's gonna be a lot easier. So Clint will continue to work on abating the big problems, so that then we can come in and do a cleanup. And
Where is she going?
I think Oklahoma is where her family lives,
So
her
she's
daughters
just,
live down
is
south.
she just leaving then?
And at that point, I don't know if he'll be allowed back on the property.
So it's kind of a walk away,
Yeah,
really.
and so we got a time frame on it too.
And Wendell certainly might be back at that point.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but
Yeah.
what I know right now is it's an eyesore, and
Yep, it is.
the people can't take care of it, and I think as a community, it's important enough for us to get involved and take care
Well,
of it.
and it touches so many of the lives of all of us through the generations that were there, you know.
Clint, would you be able to kind of put just a to-do list together or something that,
Yep.
and then when so we can really get moving on this, and then, with regarding this Revitalize Committee, then I can kind of task some of those people with some of the things like you see needed done,
Okay.
and then we can really keep progressing forward and have this thing whipped out here.
Right, I agree, and then I walked through the property yesterday, just safety wise, wanted to check it out before anybody can get in there. There is some holes on the property, holes that have been dug where people could fall into. would like to get those marked too before anybody's in there, so nobody gets hurt. There's about 3 to 4 holes where, you know where the flagpole was? Down that stretch, there's holes along that piece of the property. So I wanna get those marked safety-wise.
Did you see anything from the perimeter, like of the building where there is, it looks hazardous, ready, like the steps? I haven't been in front there to look at the steps.
There's stuff, you know, in the old playground and around the side of the building, there's piles of stuff that has been left, you know, that has nails, that type of thing. And I think what a person ought to do is, you know, pull in there with a trailer, pick all that stuff up, mark the holes. And then we'd be able to get started with some of the mowing, the weed eating, that type of thing. And have it be safe at the same time, so don't want anybody.
Just basically a building and a lot,
Yep.
you know.
A lot of tree
I
trimming.
have just a crazy thought, a crazy question too. You know, we're still looking for, on the Revitalize Committee, another committee member. Would there be any conflict if Clint would agree to serve on that? Talk about a good resource. Would you guys foresee a problem there, or does he even, I'm not volunteering you, we would actually ask, I mean,
No, I just did.
but I
He
thought,
can
what
serve
a
as an
good,
advisor. I don't know that he'd actually be a voting member.
You need to see a liaison.
We'd be happy to assign him to it as
Yeah, he could be a liaison.
I
That's
could
not
do
a bad
that.
idea.
liaison.
Which-
well, I think
and-
what better to keep that committee in the loop of
Yeah.
projects. So you're thinking as a voting member, that could be a problem?
I don't think you'd
it
wanna
would
do
be,
that
but
work,
I just
isn't it?
wouldn't want.
Because see, there's only gonna be 5 of us, so we'd have to.
Depends how.
We don't really do
how
a
your
lot of-
bylaws state.
It's a pretty informal, we follow Robert's rules just to keep the meetings orderly, but we don't really, it's just not that kind of committee, it's
Pretty late.
Well, and
it's a
if-
very relaxed
I can see where this would
committee.
have merit if you're gonna move into not only, and using revitalization as cleanup type projects and all of that kind of stuff, to have someone that could,
Clint, the commitment is a easy, it's the
Yeah, I'm kinda-
second Thursday
I'm cool with that.
of the month. We meet for about an hour, and in the winter, it's mostly planning, and then we do a few things in the summer. And so I guess I'd
Second
formally just
Thursday.
ask you if you're interested.
Sure, yeah, I definitely am, but the second Thursday of the month, where at?
Community Hall,
City Hall.
City Hall, okay.
we got Community Revitalize,
Yeah.
City Hall, second level conference room. And tonight we meet, and you would be welcome to come,
Okay.
unless you would feel uncomfortable with me presenting the idea of you coming aboard, sitting there.
why don't you give Dwight a real
Give
quick
them a
call
heads up
before you're
at least.
leaving?
Yeah, give everybody.
Let me do that.
I wanna make sure they want me to come too, you know, I mean.
They would be glad.
Yeah, so.
We'll take,
I think, second level office.
we'll take you,
Motley crew.
Yeah.
Is Christie actually on the committee?
Christie.
You might wanna look
Yeah.
them over, Clint. before
Christie
you
Which?
decide.
Yeah,
Which Christie?
They may not want me.
see what kind of
They've seen
police
Christie
records they have.
Museum.
You might not
Yeah.
want them.
Yeah, but if they see, you know, it's, they say they don't want that guy.
Right, exactly, I don't either.
That's a good point.
You what?
Unless there's a conflict between the code enforcement end of it and, but I wouldn't
But
see
they don't own any
that.
property.
Right,
There's
exactly.
no property possessed, so I don't think if city employees can sit on committees like that, then I don't think there's a conflict.
Right,
And
exactly.
we don't really do anything that is
Christie.
city related, you know, we don't deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. We have a small budget that's approved through our budgeting session, so there's not gonna be a problem there. I think he'd be great. That's the perfect guy
It'd be
for
a
the
wonderful
job.
resource for you.
Exactly. All right.
Okay,
Number
Yeah, I
10 is
appreciate that.
discussion on the 4th of July parade. It has come to my attention via Facebook, which we all know is,
hate Facebook.
I don't do it.
I don't either.
that the water issue during the parade is, the world is on fire over it. They wanna do away with it
Every year.
every year. But I wanna know your opinion on,
I only
there's
got
no way
sprayed by
they can-
one person last year.
and is she in this room?
I don't know, plead the fifth or somebody else plead the fifth or
So we
something.
damn minute.
It was
You can't bring it up when you're involved.
Yes, I can, at least I'm honest about it, and I'm not gonna say,
I've talked to Mark in the past, I've talked to the parade committee in the past, I've talked to the roundup, talked to people in the past of trying to figure out, can we have a specific water zone where this area is okay to spray water, or you can't do this, or you can do that. What it comes down to is our 4th of July, if it's anything like it is today, or we continue down the path we're on, it's gonna be 105 degrees,
right,
and people are gonna enjoy getting cooled off. And I don't know if we can set something up to where you can put something in front of you that says, don't spray me with water, which makes it more of a target apparently. I don't have a solution, there's a lot of people that enjoy it, there's a lot of people that don't like it. No different than the fireworks. Everything is a give and take.
well, and I know a couple of years ago, it was the candy, they didn't want them throwing the candy, well, you're always gonna have, it's just like the fireworks, somebody's gonna break the rules.
Well, and it's like when they said about, talked about the fireworks, they were talking about the kids, okay, it's the same way with the water, it's the same way with the candy. You know, if you take away that stuff, the kids look forward to that. So what are we gonna listen to?
I think everybody in this room can say the thing they remember from their childhood, going to the parade, is catching candy.
It wasn't water
Horses.
guns, it was.
It
Road
was catching
apples.
candy for sure.
Yeah.
Road
Well,
apples.
yeah, so exactly, you know, they're saying, well, the streets are slippery because
The
of the water,
horses.
which I understand that, but the streets are also slippery from the candy wrappers, the candy, the horse manure in the street makes it slippery, I mean,
Oh, really?
Road apples.
Road apples.
I mean, we certainly have our certain areas where and that's where the bike patrols come in handy, we ride up and down the parade loop the whole time, keeping the kids back away from the floats, a safe distance. We'll stop, we'll throw candy that hasn't made it that far, throw it to the kids, I mean, I'm pro-kid, I think that we leave it the way it is, I don't see a solution that's viable short of going with a 2-block stretch of a dry zone and advertising that there's no water in this 2-block stretch. But
Well, and speaking of just parade and candy and everything, we're talking about doing the parade collectively with the mayor and the council. Could you imagine if we just rode through there and didn't throw candy to kids and everything? I
We're
think it
throwing
would
candy.
be,
We're throwing candy and hot dogs and everything. I actually think,
in a bun?
yeah, I just kidding. I actually think the water's a real pain in the butt, I gotta be honest with you. I think I wish that maybe Mark or somebody could just say, hey, man, I don't know what the solution is, it's a tough deal. But isn't he the, but we never had water up until, what, 10 years ago, so why do we need it now?
I'm pretty sure it's your
And-
class that started the water,
We started all kinds of, we invented drugs probably.
yeah.
But,
see,
I mean,
so
you know, yours wasn't far behind, so I would,
I'm not denying that,
anyway, it just, I don't like it, Scott. I mean, my mom got hit in the face with a water balloon. So,
I can certainly-
I guess I've gotta be the naysayer here. I think it's a pain in the ass.
Water balloons are definitely a totally different issue.
Yeah. Well, hey, now that's
I
there's
actually
something.
did ban water
Now
balloons. I thought
that's a
we
good
told
point,
no water
Marty.
balloons.
We should say no water balloons.
right.
And I think we did that last year.
We did. I don't know.
Through
This
Mark.
was
Through
my
Mark.
mom. She got hit with that.
Yeah, when Mark would stop each float and say,
No water
no,
balloons.
no booze, no water balloons, no.
Mhm.
Except for the reunion floats.
What did
And
they
the
say?
mayor
They said
council
no
floats.
food?
the mayor comes.
Just the drivers, right?
No, they said, Mark, when I was on my class reunion float, he walked up to us, I don't know why he picked us out of the group.
I wonder.
But he said, no booze on your float. I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, tell Scott Dice that you can't have booze on his float. So,
And that's been mentioned also, that there probably shouldn't be booze on a float by legality standards, if you're technically in a motor vehicle,
But
are
it
you
is
in it or
Independence
you're on
Day.
it?
And we party. Barney was drunker than hell last year, I saw it.
as long as it's not, as long as it's not an accident department.
But it was.
She was pregnant last year.
No, I had her the week before, but I was not.
She was not.
All right,
I guess if we want to look at passing some sort of an ordinance, it'd be very difficult to get it done this year.
I just wanted to bring it up for discussion because it's,
I will do whatever you guys decide as far as the rules, but,
We won't meet again before the 4th, will we?
no,
So, guess we can't do it now.
well,
I mean, unless we call a special meeting, but I
Did
don't
you
think
say,
we need to.
did you say that Roger was one who would like to do it?
No, he's trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, and I agree with him, I do not like that damn water.
I think that you would have to either get it as an administrative rule through the roundup, or that we'd have to pass a specific ordinance that said no water devices to be launched as a projectile. I mean, we can certainly write it.
That's gonna be tough to enforce. I think you might do away with the water balloons, but what are you gonna do? Search everybody for a water pistol? I haven't been sprayed, I've been out to parade every year for 5, 6 years, but nobody ever sprays me.
Well, this is a new year.
And you
I'm
can't
I'm
do
not
it.
sitting between you two, I can see that.
Oh, we fight horrible, we really do get along. Okay.
No.
But you know, maybe we can at least stop the water balloons, because they are kinda hazardous, you know, they're heavy. If they-
I will make sure to mention that to Mark, that again, we don't want any water balloons coming from the floats, and I'll tell the bicycle guys that people in the crowd can only spray the people that wanna be sprayed. We can't be spraying horses with ice cold water.
Right, and
You
I
know,
don't
there
think
has to be
they're
common
doing,
sense.
right, and I know that when we were on our float, we would ask the people if they wanted to be sprayed.
Yeah, the
We
kids
didn't
run
just
out there
open-
and go like that.
Yeah, we didn't open fire on the crowd, we asked, who
Yeah.
wants to get sprayed?
And that's for the most part, and if we see people along the parade route that are also having an issue, we'll certainly address that with them, with the bicycle cops.
I'm sorry, Scott, I really am sorry about last year.
I'm not,
Well, and look at where you were right at the front of where the parade started.
Well, when he walked up and I just, instinct just took
The
over.
devil.
Instinct.
The devil made you do it.
Exactly. All right, so number 11, a motion and a second to go into executive
Motion
session.
A.
Let me go outside, my freaking, sorry, excuse me, language,
Yeah.
but my toes are freezing. I need to warm up. Is the thermostat in here?
yeah.
And Monty probably needs a cigarette.
We'll be back.
I need a cigar.
I was gonna bring you one, but I didn't know what kind you smoked.
If it's
We've got-
nicotine and tobacco, I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't think
You
you're
can have
supposed to
cigarettes.
smoke
Did
on
you
the
know-
premises.
Did you know that the liquor store has a $15 cigar out there, and I think he.
That's nothing.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, I
I'm not gonna buy no 50.
I don't do it
Oh,
often,
just
but you
gonna
could.
say-
spend a
Going
lot
out the
of
back
time on one,
door.
couldn't you?